This is speech number 2 from the basic manual. Speech number 2 is organise your speech. The objectives are 4 of them. 1. Select an appropriate outline which allows listeners to follow and understand your speech. 2. Make your speech clear with supporting material directly contributing to that message. 3. Use appropriate transitions when moving from one idea to the other. 4. Create a strong opening and conclusion. Nixon's speech is titled, Look Before You Leap. Ladies and gentlemen, look before you leap. Nixon, look.
Welcome guests and fellow Toastmasters. Are you passionate to watch The Passionate Eye of CBC? I do. Recently I just watched a program Buffeting the Berlin Wall, Amazing Escaping Stories, which talked about the East Berlin people escaping to the west. The people going to the west by going under the ground through the tunnels, hot balloon through the air, or even swimming across the Elbe River. I was really touched by these narrow escapees, and I was really content to see that most of them successfully get to the west and start new life. But on the same day later, I read a blog of my friend. He said something about Hans Schumann story. I started to realize that not every escapee always ends with a happy ending. Then I remember the Chinese saying this, think 3 times before you comment. And in English we say, look before you leap. In 1961, August 15, the 3rd day of the construction of the Berlin Wall, which was just a barbed wire fence, Hans Schumann was an East German soldier guarding the wall, and the people on the west shouted to him, "Come über, come over." So he jumped over the fence with that stampede leap and get to the west of the Berlin. And that historical moment was captured by West German photographer Peter Leyden and became one of the most classical, well-known image of the Cold War. And after that, people erected the statue of Hans Schumann in the place where he jumped. He made that historical jump, and people even made a small statue of Hans as a souvenir for the tourists. And Hans himself later went to Bavaria and worked for the Audi auto factory for 27 years. In 1987, he took a picture with his famous photo as a background, but in the photo, he looks like dejected. So in 1998, June 20th, and he committed suicide by hanging himself in the orchard. I was really sorry for his decision. I just keep wondering what caused he made that unhandsome decision for Hans. Is that because he's a soldier defector that he suffers more than a regular person as a traitor, that he has to face the music? Or what? I really don't know. But I would say that looks like he's not well prepared for that intrepid jump in a long-term plan. It is easy to jump over a physical fence, but it's hard to jump over a psychological barrier. So Mr. Schumann, you should look before you leap that fence. Hans, zuerst Dank, dann lenken. Not everyone always do like Hans without thinking the long-term plan. And I got a former colleague in China, George Lee, and 3 years ago, he got his landing paper to Canada, and he started to ask me about the status of the new immigration, and he learned some negative news about it's hard to find a job. So I persuaded him to still come to and try it, but after his passive thinking, consideration, pro and cons, yin and yang, so he finally gave up. And just since last year, I had 2 friends already went back to China, Shanghai, start their new careers. And since this year, I have more friends who were laid off from the company. I start to wonder, maybe George made a good decision, and he looked it and avoided one blind jump. So in our lives, this look and before you leap philosophy applies to all of aspects. I have a colleague, Reid Barker. He likes to do the carpentry works. And once I shared one of my favorite proverbs with him: cut thrice, measure thrice before you cut once. And he just said exactly, because every time when he does the carpentry works, usually he measures only once and cut the wood, but the wood is short. So, and in our lives, we also have so many things we need to think about 3 times before we start doing it. Like you're starting a new relationship, a marriage, start to learn a new language, start to a dance class, or start to join a Toastmaster club, for example. Ask yourself how much time commitment you can promise for this new change of your life, the change of your lifestyle. If you cannot pick up the cross and carry it all the way to the end, it's worse than you never pick up this cross. So my friends, please remember this saying: look before you leap, if you don't want to leap in the dark. Mr. Chairman.